Welcome to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark.
Hello and welcome everyone to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. If anyone wants to come up and join in the conversation, coming up, if you could tell something that's going on in your life, something that you think is very important to discuss, we all need to advocate. Your voice can be heard here. I had recently got a certificate going to human trafficking, and I went to the local sheriff and I said, have you got any kind of places where I could get out and maybe talk at or maybe bring awareness at? Now, hurry back, Chris, and I'll show y'all a couple of the places, okay? That's in my area, so y'all probably have some in your areas as well. But in mind, a lot of this is here in Dallas County. So right here, this is the Shelter Inc. So it's facebook.com/the Shelter Inc. This is the one in Pulaski, Tennessee. It's about spousal abuse, domestic violence. I say right here that they are going to have a chamber copy. It's going to be September the 4th, 2025 at 8 a.m. It's going to be at 615 West Point Road, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, 38464. It's supposed to be, it says, join us this Thursday for our annual chamber coffee. On this day, we'll kick off our domestic violence awareness campaign and release our 2025 merchandise. We hope to see you there. I'm saying that there's some things that's really affordable. You get like $5 and amongst other things. So we need to be sure that we do bring awareness to the different causes. And if y'all can see my screen, there's the phone number to notify. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So it said a safe haven from domestic violence. It's a nonprofit organization in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. And you can write them at admin@theshelterinc.com. They did have a golf tournament back August the 27th. Have a day of fun in the sun while showing your support for the Shelter Inc. So that's pretty good that they're trying to get involved with the community, which is a big asset. Thank you so much, everyone who came to show support for Saturday morning. We appreciate everything you do. They had also a bike and a walkathon, and that was back August the 15th. I think all this seems to be positive. Okay. The next one is Hope for Justice, and maybe there's one in our area as well. I'm not sure. So this is in the UK. Hope for Justice head office phone number is +44. You see the numbers right here for press and media inquiries only. It's a Contact USA. Here it is for Nashville, Tennessee. Postal address P.O. Box 280365, Nashville, Tennessee 37228. Call 1-615-356-0946. Email info.us@hopeforjustice.org. Office hours Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is advocacy advice. In the U.S., call 911 if anyone is in immediate danger or if there's an emergency to report a concern of human trafficking. We're looking for justice for this. Okay, and first, and here's also a kid's place. It's a child advocacy center. A child advocacy center opened, and this is in Facebook, okay? No, this is, I thought it said Facebook. I'm sorry, but it's not. But they do have a Facebook place as well. The Child Advocacy Center opened our doors to Lawrence County in 1999 as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Kids Place specializes in providing hope, help, and healing to children and families who have been impacted by sexual and severe forms of child abuse in the 22nd Judicial District, including Giles, Lawrence, Maury, and Wayne counties in Middle Tennessee. As the only child advocacy center in the area, Kids Place works harmoniously with the Department of Children's Services, the Office of the District Attorney General, law enforcement agencies, including local city and county agencies, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and Homeland Security. Kids Place serves as a satellite location for Our Kids Clinic to provide forensic medical examinations. So their services are child forensic interviews to aid the child protective investigative team process, trauma-focused evidence-based therapy for child survivors, family advocacy and support services for protective caregivers, forensic medical exams on site in our Lawrenceburg location provided by Our Kids Center, prevention and community awareness and education programs. All services are provided at no cost. Kids Place provides essential services and is a vital resource for our communities. I want to let y'all know also, I need to go back and do another junior's house in the area. Hey, bucket list. See y'all. Hey, Peggy. I'll be here for a bit. Start dinner soon, so I'll be looking. Good to you're here. Thank you. Hi, our bucket list. Anybody wants to come up, just let me know. I'll be glad to put you up here if you want to get up here and talk. I will drop the link in the comment section. I've got a friend who's fixing to do a live broadcast in YouTube. I will drop her link in a few minutes. I will show her information too. Okay, so let me get that. Okay, let me drop down the link for her YouTube channel and hope that people will be able to go there and watch her channel. Let me share the screen and I will show what she's about, okay? She also is an author on some of the true crime. How many of y'all likes to see the true crime stories? That's what she does. So tonight at 7, I guess, Central Time, the Jonesboro Church Board, riots, shootouts, and preacher who tore the town apart. Bad Man or Messiah. Like I said, she's an author. She's written books on the different avenues. Let me read to you what this says. What happens when a charismatic preacher turns a town against itself? In the 1930s, Joseph Jeffers arrived in Jonesboro, Arkansas, promising revival but leaving chaos, riots, and even a deadly church shootout in his wake. This true story of the Jonesboro Church War includes fistfights, tear gas attacks, and a burning revival tent, apocalyptic prophecies, and scandalous accusations. The National Guard stepping in with machine guns, murder trials, and a preacher who vanished unscathed. A shocking mix of religion, manipulation, and violence, and one of the strangest chapters in American history. So she actually has got a blog series here. And let me click on that where I'll be able to give y'all the link for that as well, possibly. Here is her page. We will support her. The Jonesboro Church Board Part 1, the Firebrand Arise blog series Part 1. So she really got in depth here. She's got a lot of other books, and sometimes she goes to events and hosts books to present this to the public, these stories, to get this out there. So she is an advocator as well. Let me share that link. I want to tell y'all a story about what happened when I first ran away from my abusive ex-husband, right? I'm going to give the link if anybody wants to pop up here. I was in an online support group, and I was at no avail because here my husband was beating me. So every time I had even called the sheriff, and he said he could beat me all he liked as long as he didn't kill me. So at the same time, I was having flashbacks in the memory of like when my stepmom had killed my first child when I was a teenager. And that child was from a rape. It wasn't from me sleeping around or nothing. Um, but anyway, the fact of the matter was nobody would stick up. The church said it's best to let him kill me. That's my only way to heaven. So I really had no one who was going to protect me in that general area. And I knew that they were going to, after I told them that now he threatened to kill me, they said, well, we can't arrest him till he actually does kill you. But you think I was going to wait around for that, y'all? Really? So in the support group, I let the people know that I had shared a writing called Regina's Triumph. And that kind of got people's attention and they all asked me if they could save a copy of it because it helps them describe to their therapist how they feel, what the turmoil that they're going through. And I said, yeah, sure. And I'm not patting myself on the back. This is just an explanation. And that's just showing me that, yeah, you got to get the word out there. You try to become their voice as well. All right. So this person ended up showing up and it came all the way from upstate New York. I had met this person as a female name, okay? And so at first I thought it was a female. But when he came up, it was actually a guy, okay? Um, he, it's hard to believe that even in the 1999s that they already were doing things um, like with steroids and different shots. If somebody decided they want to be a woman and then they're a man, he was getting injections. He basically went and changed his name to a female's name, so he was legally that female's name. So it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I got all the way to upstate New York. I was living above a shoe store and a Chinese restaurant. It's kind of funny that a lady came by, was preaching, and she said, "You shouldn't be staying here with a man." And I said, "Well, I agreed I shouldn't be here. So I'd rather, be just in a safe atmosphere, um, get my life in order. Got to file for divorce and get that abusive husband." And so she convinced me to come and stay with her. So I went ahead and did. But it was kind of weird because and this was now from Utica, I think from Clinton, New York, which is upstate New York, to Rome, New York. So in Rome, New York, that's not really far from where they had what was that bands and stuff like that years ago, the Woodstock. So it was not far at all from Woodstock. But anyway, anytime I came down the stairs and said hi to one of her friends, she did not like the fact that I was talking to one of her friends. She said her friends can't be my friends. So I was stuck in a different state, not knowing how I'm going to communicate to anybody. Just basically being there and was not really allowed to communicate with anybody. So I thought, if I'm going to get better, when I leave, I'm just going to leave my things behind and get my stuff later. So I walk on down and I go to the bus station. It's so funny. um, so I wanted to get to Utica because that's where the sports center was, where I knew and had been before. And beside it is a little place where they help people that's been in alcohol. So it's a bar without alcohol. The people go in there play pool, such as. And it's really interesting. The bus driver said, "Next stop, Attica Prison." Who in here knows about Attica Prison? Do y'all remember Attica and the news? How there was an uprising? And there was going, Attica, Attica. Oh, way on the bus, I was at the very back, and I said, I'm going to go like this. He'd go, Attica, Attica, Attica. Then the bus driver started doing that on the steering wheel. Attica, Attica, Attica. So everybody on the bus started doing that. And then he said, okay, we get close enough to the prison now. We don't need an uprising. We had to. So that was kind of comical in that, right? So I make it to off the bus, and they drop me off at a location that I'm not familiar with in Utica. So God had to be with me. I promise you, that's the only way. So the only one who could lead me to where I needed to go was a gang member. And it's wearing that do rag and all. I can't remember which color it was. It's been so many years ago, right? So I was at his mercy to lead me over there to that bar that's non alcoholic, right? So I was hoping that that business next to it was open where I could get into housing or something. So I followed him, and he took me over there. Then they said, "Well, we're going to close shortly," but he left. He left me there. But there's getting ready to close, and they said, "He's back. Don't leave with him. Whatever you do, he's waiting out there for you." He said, "We're going to call a cab for you, and we're going to take you to an abused woman shelter." I said, "But that's the wrong thing to do." I said, "Because if you send me to abused women's shelter without first going through the proper channels, like going to a hospital, she's going to turn me loose." So put in mind, I'm in Utica, New York, and I'm from Alabama, okay? So that's a shell shock in itself, right? I'm from the country, so we had our own private land and stuff. So a very shell shock when you see all these businesses and everything. So the cab driver pulls up and he drops me off at the abused woman shelter. Okay. I knock on the door. She lets me in and she said, "Well, you can stay the night." But she said, "I'm going to have to stay up all night long because I don't know you and you might kill all the women in here. So I'm going to have to stay up all night. I ain't going to be able to get no sleep whatsoever." So it's like, "Oh Lord, tell me what to do." So anyway, I got my little bag. I had a little bag in my purse. And I said, "Well, bye." I didn't know where I was going. I did not know. I just knew that I wasn't going to keep her up all night. I didn't want her to worry about me killing all these people, not knowing me, but she was going to keep me out the next morning. And so I just went out the door, said, "Lord, just lead me where I need to go." So I was basically homeless in the street in Utica, New York. So I said, "Okay, God, lead me." I followed the direction where I felt like He wanted me to go. And I came upon two firemen that was outside washing the fire truck. And it had to be about midnight at this time. And I told him what I was going through. And he said, "You're right. You're not supposed to go there without first going to the hospital. And the hospital is supposed to call a police officer and take you to the abuse women's shelter." I said, "Yeah, that's what I told him." They said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to call you a cab. And the cab's going to take you up to the hospital to be evaluated. He said, maybe be able to put it there. I said, no, she ain't going to have me back over there because she said that I won't be able to go back in. I said, okay. So the cab driver that comes and picks me up is the same cab driver that dropped me off at the abuse women's shelter. He said, well, I knew you're not supposed to stay there. I wonder why they sent you there. And I said, it's okay. It's going to work out. It's fine. Everything. So when you first go into the hospital to be evaluated in New York for housing or nothing or anything, they start thinking, okay, she might be psychological or something. So there was a special room where they had like 5 or 6 different beds, and it's like a circle, and then they had curtains drawn for each, right? So they took everything but your panties, okay? They even took my bra, okay? And there I was, I did not even have a sheet to cover myself up. So I was like, oh, geez. And it's open, no curtains on the door right there. And I didn't have no curtain blocking me. So anybody going by that door would be able to see me naked like that. And I felt kind of violated, if you know what I mean. So anyway, somebody's supposed to be watching right there, but they weren't. And all of a sudden I heard a voice saying, I'm going to kill y'all. I'm going to kill every one of y'all. You talking about, you think I was going to stay there seated on the bed? Uh-uh. I was already running from Alabama from the from the death threats, right? So I jumped up, stood beside the bed, closest to the window, and lady said she came back in there. She said, "You need to lay in the bed. You're fine." I said, "I don't know if I'm fine." She said that she's going to kill all of us. She said, "You're fine." And I was trying to say, is she handcuffed or is she uh, give me proof that I'm going to be safe, that she can't get to me. But she would never tell, well, she's chained or she's tied down or anything. She never said that. So she left the room again, and they're supposed to stay 24 hours just watching that area. Nobody was staying there. She said, like I said, I'm going to kill all y'all. Jump back up. And they said, yeah, you got to go in the hospital a while because we think you're being irrational. We don't think you should be nervous about this person, you know, they can't hurt you. I'm like, well, if I can't see whoever is giving me a threat, you better believe I'm going to be nervous. That's just human nature, y'all know. They said, well, the reason why she was talking so hoarse is she tried to cut out her voice box. Boy, that's why she was talking like the. So anyway, I was put in the hospital, and then I guess I stayed about a week. And this hospital was a lot different than the other hospitals. Like when I was being abused by my husband, sometimes um, I was a nervous wreck, especially after finding out about my son being killed and finding out some other secrets and stuff that was going on. But this was totally different. They had the men and the women in the same section. I had guys telling me, "Oh, let's go in there and have sex." This other guy will be watching the door, and we'll block the door right there where nobody could get into you. Do y'all think I liked hearing that or not? Do y'all think I actually felt safe in that hospital then, right? So meaning that they could come in even when I'm asleep, and then somebody be on guard and watching. So finally, eventually, I did get out, and I temporarily was in this house, a safety house for a little while. A lot of people before they find your apartment, they're in this other housing. Okay, so I was in there, and I had my own apartment. It was like a little studio. It didn't have a bathtub, but it had a shower and had a commode. It was my own. But the girl who stayed in that room before me happened to be a prostitute. So people were coming and throwing rocks at the window, trying to get me to open the door so that I could let them up so that we could do, whatever. And I said, and finally a neighbor came over and he shooed the people away. Thank God for him, right? So that's a little bit of the story. And then I was still there. Then it was time for me to go to Alabama and get my divorce. I left my things behind in that apartment over there um, where I was. I thought that I would be back at least to go get that. I came back, and when we went to court, the judge said that my medical records were inadmissible as evidence of abuse, that the police reports were inadmissible as evidence of abuse. So without all that, I had no proof. So without all that, they were saying that I abandoned my children. So I ended up having to go on my own. And the only reason why I left my kids and went to New York, I did not take them with me because after he threatened to kill me, the police stopped by even the following day and told me that if I try to take my kids with me, that they'll end up arresting me for kidnapping my own kids. So I felt like I didn't know what to do. There are some cases where I had looked up recently. I want to try to let me get to my uh, thing right here. There is a protest that is going on in Fayette County. My goodness. Yes, thank God, right. Yeah, but the bad thing is the laws were even back then, but they still did not protect me. And my ex-husband, he was canned to the county commissioner. So let me share the screen right quick on share with y'all this interesting. Well, if we stay long enough, Charles said he would try to be in here, okay? But they got an emergency going on right now. The protest at Fayette County Courthouse after child molester put on house arrest. So the Fayette community is rallying behind survivors and their families after a judge orders Timothy Best Benton on house arrest. Nearly hundreds of people gathered outside the Fayette County Courthouse to be a voice for the children and protest Judge Samuel Junkins' court order, which allows Best Benton to be at the following places under GPS monitoring: his father's shop at their home on County Road 102. Any doctor's appointments, include mental health appointments, his family home in Gulf Shores. All visits to Gulf Shores must be pre-approved by the court through Jesse Christian, Director of Community Corrections. While in Gulf Shores, the defendant shall be confined to the house. If you're released from prison for messing with kids, you shouldn't be allowed to go to the beach, Fayette resident and the protest organizer Chris Johnson said. Benton was 19 years old when he was charged with more than 40 counts of various charges, ranging from sodomy to human trafficking. According to court documents, Benton agreed to a guilty plea of 2 counts of sodomy in 2019. Best Benton was sentenced to 17 years in prison, but his time behind bars was cut short in June of this year. See what there, y'all? He was sentenced to 17 years in prison. We didn't know he was getting out, Chris McKees. And why would y'all even give him? Should that not be a life sentence when he's been human trafficking? 40 counts of. Isn't that sick right there? His son was 14 years old when he was molested by Benton. The family has spent the last 8 years trying to find peace, all of which was taken away when they found out through Facebook their son's predator was going home. I want him locked back up, Key said. If I can't get that to happen, at least maybe we could get something changed, but this can't happen to somebody else. CBS reached out to Judge Junkin for comment about his decision, but have not heard back. The district attorney, Andy Hamlin, is not providing any comment at this time. So I want to show y'all if I could get to the real. Try to see. Wondering if it was a predator report where I had seen it. Let me look over here. So this is a really good friend to follow. She brings a lot of awareness out here at Facebook. It said that she's unable to make more friends, that she could only make so many. Okay, this one is Robert Bradley Bolden. That was a new one right there. He was indicted for strangling a woman in front of her child. Let me go. Huntsville police seek public assistance to find runaway child. This little girl right here. Maurice DeAndre Aaron booked into the Russell County Jail for violation of domestic violence protection order. There's Andrea Napoleon Robinson booked in Morgan County Jail for failure to appear first-degree sodomy and 2 counts of first-degree rape. Predator, who is that? Javier O. Saldana Garcia, 36, arrested in Decatur and booked in Morgan County. The charge wording was unclear. I looked at the code Alabama, and it says sex abuse of the second degree, so it's got to be a kid. A person commits this crime is either or two situations. They subject another person to sexual contact, and that person is incapable of consent due to some factor other than the age under 16. They're 19 years or older, and they subject another person between the age, let's see right here, 13 and 15, inclusive to sexual contact. There's Palmero Velasquez Lopez, booked at Marshall County Jail, charged with sex abuse of a child under the age of 12, child abuse. Gary Ronald Graham, this is a new one that I seen today too, that's 4 hours ago. He financially exploited an elderly. Xavier Labrelle Pope, booked into the Dothan, Alabama City Jail, charged with failure of adult sex offender to register with local law enforcement, attempted to elude a police officer. Father admits to abusing his 5-week-old baby multiple times, eventually caused the infant's death. And this is in Memphis, Tennessee. The infant's father, Renee, let's see his name right there so y'all can see. Rentarius Alexander of West Memphis was interviewed by investigators and admitted to multiple acts of abuse since the infant was born. It wasn't until after his confession did the infant die. Police say the child succumbed to irreversible injuries inflicted as a result of the abuse. Prior to the infant's death, Alexander was charged with domestic violence. It is not clear why he was not charged with child abuse. It is expected charges will be upgraded to murder. There's that Robert Bolden. Okay, the predator. I'm trying to get to the other one. Here it is, right here. This is about him right here. Judge Samuel W. Junkin, presiding circuit judge of Alabama's 24th Judicial Circuit, which includes Fayette, Lamar, and Pickens County. 17-year sentence. Served just 5.5 years. House of Beach arrest for remainder. Yeah, Alabama's tough on child molesters. Okay, and it's got that. Although this judge goes right here and does what he did, guess what? Yet there was somebody else that had protected their wife, their woman, and he's in jail for murder when he protected from this predator. Yeah, exactly. A lot of creeps out there, isn't there? I'm going to give the page again. Somebody wants to come up here and talk, but it's amazing when we get the word out for the different people, right? That's what we got to do. We got to get the word out. I want to go back to her page again. I know at 7 o'clock I won't be hurt if y'all leave and go to Sonova's link, Sonova Cantrell. And let me see if this is because it says the Jonesboro church wars, riots, shootouts, and a preacher who tore a town apart. I'm sure y'all heard. Okay, hold on, because I'm already hearing a voice in the background. So premieres September the 2nd, 2025. I'll go ahead and repost the link again for everybody if y'all would like to go over there and see it. But like I said, if Charles comes in here, he's trying to get a situation going on. Does anybody got any kind of questions that they would like to ask me about what I endured or any kind of problems that they're having? You're welcome to come up and step up and talk about it. You can join me on the screen. So make sure y'all subscribe to my friend also. And this will be series series 2. But I want to give again her page to her blogs because she's got a lot of different stories out there. Okay, that's Sonova Cantrell. Let me share again and show the page again. Sometime we will have her on here when she can come. Okay, see over here to the right, September 2025. See what happens. That's going to be new. It ain't there yet. Okay. Let's see what's happened August 2025. She's got it where the Madman or Messiah, free ebook, Grim Justice. So you can go there also. Um, and again, that certain link across the screen down here. If anybody's interested, let me put the banner out there for the people, for everyone. Okay. She would appreciate the love and support from everybody. Okay, here it is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Y'all can write it down if y'all want to check it out. Like I said, there is a free ebook. called Grim Justice. There is subscribe to continue reading. Okay, let me go back out this way. Let's see what happened in July. Unmasking the Gilgo Beach serial killer inside Rex Hauerman's chilling double life. Red flags ignored. The tragic case of Becky Leifnick and deadly cause of domestic violence failures. Uncovered injustice, how Christian Adriacchio's case reveals systemic failures in crime investigations. So it goes right here. They got a story, a little area right here for you to read. But she actually has books that goes with some of these. Okay. So when that was July, so let's go to June right quick. Well, she's been busy, isn't she? Missing Lumberjack, The Enigma of Archer Ray Johnson. Don't miss tonight's new episode of Chasing Justice. That's Grim Justice. Poisoned Easter eggs. I didn't know nothing about that. Did y'all? That shocked Brazil is where that happened. A woman's act of vengeance led to the poisoning deaths of a 7-year-old boy and a 13-year-old sister. The incident unfolded on April 16th when Jordilia Ferrero Barbosa, 36, allegedly laced a box of luxury Easter chocolates with rat poison intended to target her ex-husband's new partner, Marian Lara Silva. However, the chocolates were also consumed by Lyra's children, leading to a tragic outcome. So let's go to her bookshelf here, okay? Here's where you can order books, autographed books directly from Sonova. Here's her pictures right here. Look at here. Here's the Dixie Mafia. Dawn of the Dixie Mafia limited edition cover. Madhouse, Madison County, USA, Series Book 1. Pre-order Madman or Messiah. They're shattered. Behind every story is a shattered life. Snatch, the FBI's top 10 art crimes, and more. Sonova's 22 caliber earrings. See, she ever got earrings that you could actually buy from her website as well. Unorganized Crime, A Journey to Redemption. Whispers of the Mind. And that one up here is, this one down here is paperback. So this one must be hardcover right there. So we need to remember to support the different people around. See, and you could also go over here if you know a cold case. You could go in here and do a cold case submission form for my friend Sonova. So don't forget, if y'all's interested in a case, go there. Be supporter. So bucket list or anybody, do y'all have any questions you'd like me to discuss or anything? I think there was something else in my email as well that I wanted to share with people. So what's up with this, with the missing kids in North Carolina, right? We give credit to I was temporarily knocked off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I got temporarily. Okay, so since there, what part did y'all hear last? Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, thanks for. Okay. Let me go to where I was at. I'm looking at the different things right here, right quick. Okay, since Forum News Service reported on the August spike, the state removed over half of the missing children posted on its missing. Read that again. Since Forum News Service reported on the August spike of kids missing, the state North Dakota removed over half of the missing children posted on its missing persons website. Is that any better? Okay, I had to turn. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. But what y'all think about that? Since Forum News Service reported on the August spike, the state removed over half of the missing children posted on its missing persons website. What do y'all say of this? Please give me y'all's feedback there. I believe that it seems like they're going along with whomever and however the child went missing. If you're getting rid of the person being missing, you're a part of the problem. And if they find something like the kid is deceased or something, guess what? You need to be held accountable. You need to be held 100% accountable, part of it, because you are not protecting the children. Previously, 18 children and teens were listed as having disappeared since the start of 2025. The website now shows 8. And it says no such thing as a runaway. The recent trend of kids going missing could partially be attributed to the added stress of the upcoming school year, said North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation Chief Agent Stephen Harstad, as well as a push in first response education to treat all runaways as missing persons. Still, not all runaways are treated as missing persons. Harstad previously told Forum News Service, but he said the state made an effort in recent years to encourage families, communities, local law enforcement, and emergency responders to treat every unaccounted child, whether or not the thought to have run away as a missing person. That education is working, he said. I think I seen somewhere about a lot of missing kids in Virginia, and I'm wondering what the heck's going on there. Has anybody else seen that? Since August, there was been a big amount of missing kids in Virginia. 20, oops, if I could type with the dang. Not interested. Since January 2025 to current, a total of 3,224 children have been reported missing to the MCC. Of these, 141 as of 10:30 a.m. Wednesday, August the 13th, 2025, are still missing. Okay, it said that the Virginia Department of State Police operates the Clearinghouse as a Commonwealth Center for Missing Persons. The Clearinghouse is linked to all Virginia law enforcement agencies through the Virginia Criminal Information Network, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and all U.S. police agencies through the National Crime Information Center. So let me go ahead and share this. You would not believe all the missing people. Oh my goodness. if it does not silence me again. Oh, yes, in Tennessee too. That's for sure. You got that right. This says here's Dustin Keith Abel, missing since August the 27th. Dustin was last known to be in Chesterfield, Virginia. He has a medical condition that requires medication, may be in need of medical attention. Kendi Fabioli, Cal Messina. See, why don't they show pictures, right? I think it would be a lot better. How are we going to be able to pinpoint how she looks if you don't have a picture, right? And she's 16. I said now Edison now is an adult. Sorry, that was in 2022. There's Elizabeth Acton. That was she been missing since '94. Mark Adams been missing since 2024. Mark was last seen wearing jeans and a red shirt. He may be with a Hispanic female. William Atkins. William is homeless and last seen on May 26th. Get all this. It just goes on and on and on, you know. Brent Akers. His last seen in 2020. Let's see. But I want to try to find missing persons in Virginia, August. How does the kids? Here we go. I think this is it right here. How dozens of kids been kidnapped in 10 days in Virginia. State police debunk viral rumor. So, according to have gone missing in the state between August the 1st and the 13th. Wow. Connected to usual massacre in BPSP says, according to their statistics, the average number of children missing each week in the state is 98. The average number of children missing each week in the state is 98. What do y'all think of that? For January, BSP said 3,274 total children were reported missing. Now you're going to pop up, huh? So anyway, I'm going to get out of this one. Okay. Well, I just perplexed at how this could be, right? Let's see what it says about Tennessee, right? Let's go back to Google. Children in 20. There was a missing girl called Genesis, missing since June the 10th.
Sorry about that. And they want to bring the child abduction statistics right here. In Tennessee, facts about child abduction in Tennessee reflect the current socioeconomic condition of the state. LSC Buddy editorial team did hours of research, collected all important statistics on Tennessee child abduction, and shared those on this page. Our editorial team proofread these. Can y'all see it okay? I don't think it's showing it, is it? Y'all see on the screen? I don't see it, so okay, let me stop searching and then let me try to put it back up again. And put it back up here, right here. Okay. Here's top Tennessee child abduction statistics 2025. Here's child abduction latest statistics 733 children who were most likely victims of child sex trafficking received recovery planning and safety planning for NCMEC's recovery services team in 2021. Summer was the most common time of year for children to be abducted by family members or parents. This period saw 30% of instances. 1 in 6 of the more than 25,000 instances of runaway children that were reported missing to NCMEC in 2021 was probable victims of child sex trafficking. Did y'all see that? Reread that right there because they want to treat all these other people like the runaways, right? In Virginia, right? So it's a 1 in 6 of the more than 25,000 instances of runaway children that were reported missing to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 2021 were probable victims of child sex trafficking. And yet, they want to do nothing and not even have them as a missing persons. They want to have them like, oh, they're runaways. These kids are not going to get rescued or something when you just got them, no, don't have them as a missing person. You're failing our children. Child sex trafficking was probably the cause of 19% of the children who escaped in social services custody and were reported missing to NCMEC in 2021. Wow. See, social services, they escaped social services custody. According to the National Runaway Safe Line, between 1.6 and 2.8 million young people elope each year. In 2017, of the 27,000 missing child cases reported to NCMEC, 91% were for endangered runaways. In 2020, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children helped law enforcement, families, and child welfare with 29,782 cases of missing children. We like to see how you help them. We want to see if you put them back with the abusive families. We want to see whether you went ahead and basically might have kidnapped them for profit and put them with some other family. And instead, sometimes kids are taken away from the good families just for these other people to have them too. The recovery rate in highest risk cases for missing children rose at 97% in 2011 from 62% to 1990. More than 99% of missing children returned home alive. Give us that. Show us that. If you're still saying that majority of the runaways are not found, a majority of the missing kids are still not found, how could you say that more than 99% of missing children return home alive? More than 99%? That's too high of a number. There's too many kids that's still missing out there that we don't know nothing about. How dare you say that more than 99% of missing children return home alive, but 1%? 1% is, it's not even giving us 1% because it said more than 99% of missing children. No, that cannot be accurate. That cannot be accurate at all. In the United States, an estimated 460,000 children are reported missing every year. The Tennessee Children's Home Society would receive funding in the amount of $75 per child per year with a maximum capacity of one child per 5,000 residents, according to the Tennessee statutes of 1919. In 2009, approximately 44% of the nation's law enforcement agencies participating in the UCR program submitted their data by NIBRS, and the crime data collected via NIBRS comprised approximately 26% of the data submitted by the FBI. So here's the different states right here. Well, does anybody want me to look into their state and see what it says? Okay, I'm going to look up Michigan right quick, okay? Okay, let's see what it says. Michigan has a total missing persons of 556 in 2022. According to National Missing and Unidentified Persons, Michigan's rate of missing persons is roughly average of 5.50 missing for every 100,000 people. Child sex trafficking was probably the cause of 19% of the children who escaped social services custody and were reported missing in 2021. According to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Database, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, more than 600,000 people go missing annually. In non-family abduction cases, around 20% of the children who are reported to the center are never recovered alive. Okay, this don't make sense. If they say that above 99% of the missing persons return home, then how could this be around 20% of the children who are reported to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children are never recovered alive? That's not being returned home, is it? No. So that don't fit in, does it, y'all? Oh, Wisconsin? Okay. The 1 in 6 of the more than 25,000 instances of running away children reported missing to NIMIC in 2021 were probable victims of child sex trafficking. Oh, well. At 80% of the kidnappings by strangers, the child and kidnapper have their initial contact within a quarter mile of the victim's house. Reread that, y'all. And 80% of kidnappings by strangers, the child and the kidnapper have their initial contact within a quarter of a mile of the victim's house. According to U.S. Department of State Bureaus of Consumer Affairs, that's supposed to be consumer, I believe, more than 600 American children were reported to have been victims of international parental abduction in 2014. Yeah, that's another problem. 733 children who were most likely victims of child sex trafficking received recovery planning and safety planning. Child abduction kid statistics in Michigan, according to CARD data, a person with known relation to the child abducted the child in 70% of the child abduction incidents. 93% of child sexual abusers are people the kid already knows rather than strangers. Only one kid reported missing out of every 100,000 is never recovered alive, and about 20% of children reported missing in non-family abductions are not found alive. 57% of the kids kidnapped by non-family perpetrators were gone for at least an hour before their caregivers called the police to assist find 21% of the kids. I kid you not. You see that? 57% of the kids kidnapped by non-family perpetrators were gone for at least an hour. So guess what? The trail is already getting cold, right? Child abduction statistics in Michigan. Michigan is one of the only states where reports of rape have declined among the safest cities year over year, and around 22% of survey participants use some form of personal protection, much lower than the national average of 34%. Non family abductions are the rarest sort of occurrence, according to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, and account for far less than 1% of all missing children cases reported to NCMEC. Kidnapping makes it less than 2% of all violent crimes against juvenile reported to police, according to National Incident-Based Reporting System. In a way, I don't believe that number just for the fact because a lot of times the police do not believe a perpetrator when you go in there and say, hey, this was done to me. No, they just shake it off and they don't do nothing about it. So I know there's a lot of cases that happens. Okay. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports that there were 456,676 missing child registrations in 2016. The majority of these entries included parental abduction. Within a quarter mile of the victim's residence, strangers make their initial contact in 80% of abductions. Okay, how can that be like they said the majority up here was higher than this right here? I mean, it said with a quarter mile of the victim's residence, strangers make their initial contact in 80% of abductions. 80%? Now, that's more believable, right? And I think you said Wisconsin, right? It's a law for them to check out and peruse each complaint from a child. I think that's great. Colorado and Wisconsin, you say? Okay. Okay, this is facts about in Colorado here. 1 in 6 of the more than 25,000 instances of runaway children that were reported missing in CMEC 2021 are probable victims of child sex trafficking. It's going to say that in every one of the states. Summer was the most common time of year for children to be abducted by family members or parents. This period saw 30% of instances. Family abductions, runaways, and missing children accounted for 99% of Colorado complaints, according to the Denver Post. But a lot of times it's sad when they're a teenager, the cops will automatically say, she's a runaway, right? He's a runaway. And that sometimes it's not true, right? 733 children who are most likely victims of child sex trafficking receive recovery planning and safety planning from NCMEC's Recovery Services team in 2021. Now, when I went through that child sex trafficking classes recently, NCMEC was there too. They did a really good job. A 2002 study showed that runaways, throwaways, and misunderstandings together accounted for 84% of all children reported missing. According to CAR data, 70% of child abduction cases, the child was abducted by an individual with a known relationship to the child. According to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the state received 11,695 complaints of missing children in 2009, or roughly 32 on average every day. According to the CBI figures, through 2009, the number of missing children reports have declined from the previous year's total in 11 of the past 13 years. According to the MNU Persons NamUs database, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, more than 600,000 people go missing annually. In 2019, Colorado received 8,193 reports of missing children, according to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, the CBI. According to the National Runaway Safe Line, between 1.6 and 2.8 million. You see that number there? Between 1.6 and 2.8 million young people elope every year. In 2017, the 27,000 missing child cases reported to NCMEC, 91% were for endangered runaways. The number of children who were abducted outside of their families by people who were either friends or acquaintances or complete strangers was estimated to be 58,200. Wow. Since the 1999 incident study, law enforcement statistics show the annual number of missing child reports to be moving toward 800,000, a 25% reduction in little over 10 years. Child sex trafficking was probably the cause of 19% of the children who escaped social services custody and were reported missing to NCMEC in 2021. So now we're going to go to Wisconsin here. It said the FBI's database of missing children had nearly 1/3 of black children. Only about 20% of those instances were reported in the press. 733 children who were most likely victims of child sex trafficking received recovery planning and safety planning from NCMEC's Recovery Services team in 2021. Although black children made up around 35% of instances of missing children in the FBI's database, according to 2005 research, they received just 7% of media mentions. A U.S. Justice Department study in 2002 reported that 9.8% of children reported missing were found alive. I really had trouble believing that. I'm sorry, I do. Because some of them never got found. So how could you say that 2%? Child sex trafficking was probably the cause of 19% of the children who escaped social services custody and were reported missing in CMEC in 2021. La Crosse, with a population of just over 51,500, has a 22nd highest violent crime rate in Wisconsin. Wow. The vast majority of sex trafficking victims in Milwaukee are women. 97% are confirmed cases with demographic information in 2013 and 2016. Among youth trafficked in Milwaukee, 97% were known to last reside in Wisconsin, and 88% lived in the city of Milwaukee itself. In Milwaukee, a majority of the identified victims were trafficked in just 6 zip codes, including 53206, which is more than 95% of black residents. About half of the time, the circumstances of a disappearance are documented, although in those instances, only 1/10% of cases are reported as having been kidnapped by a stranger. Because a lot of times y'all say it's a runaway. So you know the number's going to be higher than that because you're not believing somebody that says my kid did not run away. Wow. Wow. Anyway, I hope that this talk is good. Does anybody want to come up and say anything? I'm going to show the code again. Copy. I think it's bad when they differentiate and they keep saying that like 2% of the people. Wow, you cannot say that 2% of the people that's been kidnapped or whatever, right? It's higher numbers than that, and we know that. You cannot pull us because we saw the other statistics and the numbers. The number's like just 2/10%. It's not even 2%, possibly. The numbers are horrible. There's too many out there that's missing. And it happens in every county, in every state. But a lot of people are not being reported as missing. Because you can tell somebody, oh, they went to go live with their aunt for the summer, or they went to go live over here. How do we know that they didn't just sell them like my family did me, right? So how do we know that, right? I think there needs to be more proof and accountability. We got to speak up for our kids, even though we not might not be a part of it. And y'all remember this help me sign right there. See how you put your thumb inside your hand. Then you close your hand. That means help me. So don't forget that. And also be careful about approaching anybody because they may have a weapon. So be smart before you approach. Be sure you call 911. You see missing children a lot going through Facebook. Yeah, them numbers are really high, aren't they, Carlene? You can't say that the numbers are so low, right? Look at it's so upset when they say they are runaway, even if they did run away, should be treated like a exactly. Good point. That's what we're saying. They should be allowed to be considered a missing person because they're still a minor. I mean, you go like this and you cannot do a lot of things legally at that age. So why are you letting these kids continue to be in danger? You need to protect them. So these numbers do not depict the real numbers, y'all. That's what's so scary and so crazy about that. So we need to advocate for our children, show them that they matter, that they are loved, and you are worthy. And that really burns me up knowing that North Dakota, when they brought awareness to a lot of them kids missing, and they went on that website and did away with a lot of the missing kids' pictures. North Dakota needs to be held accountable for that. This is so messed up and so wrong. How many other missing kids is out there that the parent goes, hey, my kid's missing. It's sad. They're not being listened to. The parent generally cares. I think also when there's a lot of parents, the bad parent gets the child a lot of times over the good parent, right? Like in my case. The only reason my ex husband wanted my kids is because he wanted to hurt me. That's the only way. So, what are we going to do about all this? And stand up, stick up. Does anybody got any questions before I go? Before we go for the night? Remember to be an ear. You see something, say something. You might be the person's only hope. I'm going to try to get. And remember, for young kids, there is a website called My Body is My Body. They even have it at YouTube. My Body is My Body, different songs. To teach our kids, if we think that our kids may be too young, they can start watching it at an early age and learn that they don't need to be touched in a certain way. Hey there, Chris. Welcome back. I'm glad you came in. That's okay. So, what kind of advice do y'all have? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Come back anytime you want to, Peggy. I say God bless y'all and be an advocate. Stand up for our kids, our grandkids. I want to say something about this lady. I told some of y'all, and since Peggy probably didn't hear it either, um, I was in a local Dollar Tree a couple years ago, and when I was walking around, I was hearing this noise, and I seen that there's other kids were going around with the grandmother in the other side aisle. Okay, but then his mother, right when I was passing her, I can't take y'all anywhere. And boy, she was threatening. She had his arms around his neck all the way around and in a threatening position. And I thought, oh man, this reminds me of the abuse, you know? And I said, what the heck? I actually cussed. I said, what the hell? You know? And I stood there and I looked around and everybody froze. Even that woman doing that to her son froze. And I went up to the cashier and I checked out and I said, please keep a watch on her because she is abusing her son. So please keep a watch. If you see anything further than her reprimanding him like that, if she goes to hit him or anything, please call the police and report her. And it's kind of funny because she stayed in that position like that, like she was afraid to move, you know. Okay, if you've been groped by someone, call or go to the police. The bad thing about that is a lot of times, Chris, if you go to the police, like I got attacked by somebody even as a adult, okay? And I went to the police and stupid people said, "Well, you know, did you enjoy it?" Do what? Does anybody enjoy being groped, raped, manipulated, treated like that? And he told me, and the guy had ended up, he's like 6'5", very tall. He's about close to 300 pounds with his height. He was a diesel mechanic, so he could even change a tire without jacking the truck up. So had that much strength in him. He ended up throwing my body around like it was a rag doll, and he ended up sodomizing me. And of course, I went after I left there. I went to call my boyfriend, and he came home the next morning and said, "Well, I am going to go sleep with somebody since you slept with somebody." I said, "Really?" He was going to go to sleep with somebody because I slept with somebody and I was raped. And the only reason why I went over there was to work because he paid me to clean house, and so I was over there as a maid. Well, the DA actually told me that they would not prosecute this guy because there's another case going on. A lady was in town, and this was in Gunnersville, Alabama, that this lady was walking around and she was walking her dog. A guy pulled up and pulled her into the car and raped her. They said the guy almost got away with raping because the girl wasn't wearing any panties. It's like, do what? So you're saying that because how would they know she wasn't wearing no panties until he pulled the pants down? Y'all know what I'm saying? So it's not her fault. It's like, how dare you? So a lot of times victims go to the police and victims will tell, and sometimes the police disregard it. They don't want to prosecute. The case, why he didn't want to do mine, because his term as a DA was about over. So then we seen in the newspaper where it says he solved all his cases. So that's why he closed my case so that he could get in a newspaper and say I solved all the cases before I left office. And I'm glad that a doctor at the hospital, ended up writing a thing that said letter to the editor And she said there was a lady that came into the emergency room and she had been raped and victimized. And she told me about what you did, about you not wanting to prosecute, yet you dropped the thing against that guy and you discounted whatever she said. So how dare you say you solved all the cases when you dropped some of the things just so that you have a clean record? And to note that later on, I at first I didn't tell my boyfriend's stepmom about what had happened. Come to find out, she could have been a witness for me because she knew the guy. This predator would actually drop his pants at work in front of all the women and expose himself. And she knew that. If it would have went to court with this DA would have went ahead and prosecuted him, guess what? I would have had a stronger case because look, he had a record. That's why he got fired doing these sexual stuff. Yeah, victim blaming, that's true, you know. You're right. Go to a parent, sibling, or other relative that you're close to, a teacher or a counselor. Yeah, one time I was trusting a teacher at college, at high school. She knew a little bit of something, but she didn't know too much. But I didn't trust her enough to tell. But when the principal kept calling me to the office when I was a teenager, put in mind, Peggy, I was sex trafficked by my own parents, okay? I was beaten and everything else, okay? So, anyway, I didn't understand why the principal kept calling me to the office. Here I was about 15-year old. And I felt like, what did I do so wrong? He was calling me for a solid week for about an hour each day. And so I was just sitting there like, what did I do wrong? What's going on here? And the last time he hit his cabinet hard and said, I give up. I almost told then because I felt like that's what he wanted, but then I was still afraid because if I told that they're still going to deliver me back at that house where they've already tried to kill me innumerable times, right? So back around 2001, I decided I was going to call that principal, and so I guess it bothered me. And I said, "How come you pull me to your office?" Hi, Christy. I said, "How come you pull me to your office back?" And I had to sit in your office for about a week, an hour each day. He said, "Because I knew you were being abused." I said, "Do what? You knew I was being abused? Do what?" He said, "Yeah, we just needed you to talk." I said, "Yeah, but if I would have spoke, I would have had to go back home to them people I just told and be risked of being killed, right?" So it's like you're afraid to tell because you know the scenario you usually get returned. So when I told him that, he said, "No, we already had you a place. If you would have just spoke up, we already had you a place." And I'm thinking, well, you know what? Then the law needs changed because sometimes a kid is too afraid to tell because a lot of times that kid's got to go back in that environment. So these laws definitely need to change. I mean, if they knew it and they had the evidence and they already had me a home to go to, they were that sure and positive about it being done, and you're too afraid to tell, what do you do? Why couldn't they just go ahead and step up, get me out of that environment where I could tell that I'm not going back there, right? I would have been glad to speak up, right? Let's see. They don't disregard cases here in Michigan law is that the state can prosecute even if the complaint. Yeah, there's a lot of different where they'll do that too, you know. So I'm glad that you said that. Laws don't matter to many, even some law enforcement doctors, many people. Yeah, it's like when I told y'all that when the state trooper ended up, hi Christy, it's so good to see you. How upset it was for me to have met the state trooper at the Huntsville Library in the genealogy room so we could discuss a common name that we both had. And right when I get my purse sat down, I don't even get to sit down. And he says, I recognize you. I said, from where? He said, from his dad did over 300 child pornos, and I was in the majority of them. And I thought, what? My legs went out from underneath me. It's like, do what? And he was an Alabama state trooper. They protected him. I mean, so it wouldn't have done me no good because I knew he was higher up. He's an Alabama state trooper. And here I had all these police that were coming over every once in a while, returning me back home after I was rescued by somebody out from underneath the house, put in a wooden box to die, but the police brought me back over there. So, in what righteous way would I felt like I could have trusted them, right? And the weird thing is, I since have made friends with a couple of people who are related to this person family, the state troopers family, and they validated that yes, that family is that way, that they are sexual offenders and everything. It's been validated. And to know and find out by Charles Rogers, who in here remembers Charles Rogers? He's talked about Peggy. You could go back in my lives and look in there, John Benet Ramsey, and look up Charles Rogers and Blackstone Lawyer. You'll be able to see a lot that he said there too. Yeah. Well, he ended up telling me, "Hey, I was up in Tennessee and years ago, and there was this lady in with the sex trafficking thing who said that these Limestone County, their last name was Greenhalls, the Limestone County, Alabama Greenhalls were in with this sex trafficking." Do you know how that floored me? Okay, I knew about the child pornography, right? Okay, I did not ascertain that they were connected and finding out that these people are affiliated with this high profiles, and y'all know I'm in danger saying this, the high profile friends of Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you, Daddy, for doing this to me. Thank you so much. Thank you, my stepmom. Thank you all for doing this and putting my life in danger. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But in a way, I could also turn it around for the good now. Y'all want to hear how I can turn it around for the good? Thank you, Lord, for helping me survive all this. Now I can share my story and maybe help others. Because maybe with my story, even though it might endanger me, it may save a life or two, right? So that's the best way of looking at it, right? So I'd say I probably caught you off guard with a lot of this information, Peggy. I'm sorry if I did, but I'm advocating, trying to get this out there for everybody. If anybody wanted to get up here in the box, I would have been glad to. But maybe we can do this again sometime and have more people come up and speak. But like I said, Charles was busy helping an emergency type of situation right now. Thank you so much. I'm glad you came in. Well, Peggy, you seem like you're a nice lady. I think I'm going to go ahead and make you a moderator also so you can feel safe. I appreciate it. So God bless y'all. Don't forget, see something, say something, You may be the only person's only hope. God bless y'all.